I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, October the 19th, and steady again. So now we're working on 5 weeks here. Just can't seem to shake the market off 111, and actually up in the northern plains the guys are actually lucky if they can get 111, and most of them are more in that 110 range, and some of the guys that continue to sell early in the week, every week thinking that they're going to lose that, they end up selling at 108, 109. But I'm establishing the market, the live market in Kansas, and it's at 111, and we've kind of been bouncing back and forth on dress trade from 174 to 175, but we did that once again this week. But let's look at the board. October live cattle futures up 15 cents on Thursday to end the day at 113.07. December was down 20 cents to end the day at 117.17, and actually those two are coming together as October is maturing, and we're going to go move on to December, but now just $4.10 separating the two, where a few weeks ago it was stretched out a lot wider than that. October feeder cattle up $1.17 on Thursday, basically just because they were lower earlier in the week, but ending the day on Thursday at 155.25. November was up $1.07 to end the day at 154.42. Your fat cattle trade, we ended up selling most of the cattle through Thursday. There may be a little bit of cleanup trade on Friday, but through Wednesday they had already sold 59,000 head, and all of them in the northern plains. So the northern plains has got more market ready cattle. They did not get cleaned up quite as soon as we thought they would. They were still carrying big cattle, and their show lists were bigger and kind of busting at the seams. The southern plains is pretty tight really all of a sudden, and now we've seen for the last several weeks that your packers have been able to talk some of those sellers down, especially some of your farmer feeders that been busy with harvest and needing the pen space to move some of their calf purchases in, and able to talk them out of their cattle maybe a buck or two back, and then more than happy to spend maybe $2 to $4 freight getting them down into Kansas to some of those southern plains facilities where they need more cattle, because they've got a lot of cattle bought up for captive supplies in the north, and in the south not so much, and they've got tighter market ready supplies and not as many formulated cattle already scheduled to come in. So that's kind of the way they've been able to work things, that and some other marketing schemes to keep this market steady when everybody thought that that we were in the prime time to start moving things higher. But this storm and everything letting guys worry about the mud, and they hate to see those fat cattle that are ready to go stand around in it and shrink and pull some of their weight off. They just about as soon go ahead and let some of those cattle go, and all that has just culminated into a long steady market. But like I said, through Wednesday, 59,000 head, 40,500 head of them on Wednesday, but 108 to 111, and I'm still talking through Wednesday and all in the northern plains, but your weighted average was 109.81, so a lot of the 110, and like I said, a little smattering of 111 up north. 173 to 174, but basically 174 with the weighted average on dress steers at 173.81, and that's all through Wednesday there in the northern plains. They had 30,700 head of them in Iowa and 32,600 head in Nebraska, so that covered the 59,000 head. But on Thursday started selling a little bit more in the northern plains, but your packers really showing that they wanted cattle and started stepping up the bids on some of those guys that wouldn't quite let loose of them, and mostly 111 in Nebraska, especially western Nebraska. Iowa pretty much got more of the same, that 110, 173, 174 stuff. But then later in the afternoon on Thursday, we started seeing Kansas, Texas, Colorado letting rid of some cattle at 111, and then dressed at 175 and 176. So it's a little touch of a premium in the southern plains, but for my money, your established market is still 111. That's your Kansas live market, and all sold at one time there, and that would be steady once again. box beef cutout values started really turning around, found some firm footing, and started doing that seasonal turnaround that we've been waiting on, and started seeing more demand for the higher quality product as some of these wholesalers and end users start putting in orders for better quality product to serve to people as we start nearing the holiday season parties and things like that. But choice cuts 206.82, that was up 226 for the day for Thursday afternoon's close, and select at 190.235, up $1.16. That's a choice select spread of almost $14.50 and really a lot wider than what we've seen for a while. Your slaughter through Thursday, 467,000, just 1,000 off of last week and 1,000 more than the same week a year ago, so right on par. Your actual dressed steer weights 2 weeks behind, 903 pounds. It's growing again, so that's kind of due to the northern plains still holding some of those big cattle back, but we should see those weights start peeling off here, because remember that date is a couple weeks old, but that figure is three pounds more than the report that come out last week, and 8 pounds more than the same time a year ago. But you look at your real-time index on feeder cattle based on the 800-pound steer on Cattle Market Central. Late in the day on Thursday, sitting at 154.42, down just 29 cents, and basically holding in there pretty steady. We've had good demand all week for yearlings, and maybe more so the demand's better, but the calves are kind of hurting the market on them. Your guys want those yearling cattle, but there's just so many of the calves starting to show up, and a lot of them got a lot of weight to them too. And when you got more supplies, it doesn't really matter if they're quite apples to apples, it's still going to hurt the market on them a little bit. But I would say your yearlings have kind of hold steady, have gained a little bit of ground. Your calves, very, very uneven. We've seen a big difference in the weather. The northern plains have been enjoying great weather, fall weather, and the southern plains has been in the slop and the cool, drizzling, cool, hard to straighten up calves type of weather. And we should start seeing that. We started seeing at the top of the southern plains in Kansas and moving down, starting to get more clear and a little bit better weather. And I think it's going to be cool again this weekend and maybe straighten out next week. But Pratt, Kansas had over 3,000 head there on Thursday. You look at your Cattle Market Central market report, looks like those steers are firm to $5 higher. The full advance on your 9-weight steers. Heifers were kind of uneven with your best quotes on your heifers on the 7 weights. But if you look at some 9-weight steers, 516 of them in Pratt, Kansas, average 932 pounds, 151.41. That's a good average quote there, and challenges those guys way up in the northern plains with all the farmer feeder demand. And then on the heifers, the 7-weight heifers, I talked about the trend. 256 head of heifers in the 7 weights, average 749, 142.67. Farmers and ranchers livestock in Salina, Kansas, 2,200 head there. 700 to 900 pound steers were a good $1 to $4 higher, and your heifers were uneven there, and those weighing over 700 pounds were sure lower. But on those 8-weight steers in Salina, 405 of them weighed 845 pounds and average 153.89. And actually your market down in the south central part of the state, Pratt, was maybe a tick better than it was in the north central up in Salina, as things have just been kind of slow. A lot of your big sales in the southern plains haven't had very good runs because of all the weather, and you just had the guys in the southern part just a little bit hungrier for some cattle to feed than you did in the northern plains, where they've been having all those big calf runs. But Ogallala, Nebraska had a big sale, 5,000 plus on Thursday. It was a touch lower around on all your weights, but you remember they had that barn burner a week ago, and so it's always in comparison to the same sale a week ago, but still some awful good quotes. But a lot of calves have been sold up in that country, and it's going to plug some holes, even though they've got some awful good consignments there. But look at all those 5-weight steer calves there. Had 924 of them, average 550 pounds right on the dot, average 186.33, and actually those 5-weight steer calves were $2.30 higher on the weighted average than the previous week. But look at an individual quote out of Ogallala: 52 head of 528-pound steers bring 198. And you know, I always say, if you want to keep track of your market, you need to know what a 500-pound steer is worth, the best one that walks, and an 800-pound steer is worth, the best one that walks. Well, a 500-pound steer, I tell you what, in perfect condition, in the best place in the world, and just everybody interested, maybe $2 a pound. You get very far in the Southern Plains, you're not going to get near that. But at your best absolute demand anywhere in the United States, 500-pound flat steer might bring $2 a pound. An 800-pounder right around 160. You can extrapolate from there and still be pretty good abreast of what the market is. Mitchell, South Dakota, had a good sale there. Look at this bunch of black and black-white faced heavy steers, 61 head of them, weigh 938 pounds, bring $158. Headed down to South Texas here this weekend, to Carrizo Springs, Texas, to the Straight and Hefty Ranches Santa Gertrudis sale. So we'll talk to you guys at next week on a Monday, and that's your feeder flash for Friday.